Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, we're only 48 hours away from AEW Revolution 2024. It's going to be an exciting show. I'm hyped. But as it's an exciting show, I need an exciting panel. And let's kick things off with the head of reviews, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
You mean I'm here talking about AEW? We haven't had this since
a rarity.
The start of the year. There hasn't been a pay-per-view since the start of the year either. Anyway, True. I'm here, head of reviewing. I'm the pay-per-view guy. I'm here to talk wrestling, of course. This is a stacked card. And a lot of people say Revolution was the best AEW pay-per-view last year, and this very well could follow suit and be the standard bearer. We know Tony Khan's expanding that pay-per-view schedule, so who knows if that'll be the right choice for building cards like this. But this one is loaded, and I'm expecting a lot of really solid wrestling. I hope not. I'm not let down. I hope I'm not.
I hope so as well. I did a reel hyping up, previewing the card for it on Instagram, and I've been cancelled. I've been cancelled by the AEW faithful. Apparently, I'm biased.
Then how are you here?
You WWE shill.
Nobody can cancel me, and I'm uncancelable. But also joining us today, you better throw those twos up because we have the Tuesday Night Delight on a Friday. Shad, how are you, Shad?
I'm doing good, fellas. I haven't done a show with y'all, just you two, since I first started here. So this is going to be fun. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I share the same thoughts as y'all. This is a super duper stat card. A lot of great wrestlers, a lot of great matches lined up for it. Normally, I'm not a big fan of AW pay-per-views on Sunday because I got to wake up early on Monday. But I'll survive. I'll get my rest in tonight and tomorrow. And yeah, man, it's gonna be great. So let's get into it, guys.
I mean, you say that, Shard, right? You're saying, I need to get up early or whatever the next day. I finish. The show's gonna finish 5 a.m. my time. I've got to be in uni at 9 a.m. That's like 4 hours, even less. That's less than as much sleep as I had last night.
Touche. I will give you that. I will give you that. You guys, us Americans had to complain a few weeks ago with the Elimination Chamber. I guess that expiration date is completely done now because now we're back to regular American time. But
back to the real time zones and the real time slots for these pay-per-views.
Who's closer to universal, whatever time they call it, what they base everything off anyway. I never understand how we're always 1 hour from that. What must that be anyway? Let's not get into talking about times, and let's instead talk about the timeless Toni Storm because she.
That was good.
I'm getting better with the transitions. I'm trying to improve it, but she's defending the AEW Women's Championship against Deonna Purrazzo, and I was so excited for this. They built it so well, and then they just gave up with a couple of weeks to go. They were like, actually, we don't fancy this anymore. Let's just book them in a few squash matches, and that's all. Shard, what's your thoughts?
I don't disagree with that standpoint. I think the last couple weeks have been a little bit of a, rocky booking to get it continuation. It's kind of been, week by week by week, the same type of booking. We've seen either or be in a match and other person be there on commentary, but it doesn't take away my excitement from the match. I said it yesterday. I feel like AEW has listened to the fans, and they've took an emphasis on booking the women's division a lot stronger. And this is the focal point of it. You have your star and Toni Storm as the champion, and you have your, new woman who is made a lot of groundwork in women's wrestling prior to coming here as a free agent signing. Getting this moment with her, there is a story between both of them being best friends in the past. I would assume they're probably real friends in real life, but that's neither here or there. So I'm excited for it. Um, I think David maybe spoke about it a few days ago too. I just really need to see a strong showing from Deonna Purrazzo though,
Oh yeah.
because it's looked a little rocky so far. And a lot of people harp on that match that she had with Madison Rain. Not a great showing from her. I don't think she's been horrible within her match quality on AEW. I don't know if it's changing the guard and style, but she's gonna have to have a show out showing, because if she comes out weak, the fans are gonna kind of be like, we're not interested. And Tony Storm is a hot commodity, so I think they're gonna do good. And I got Tony Storm retaining. I got to win in this match on Sunday. I think it's pretty easy to say that.
No, I do agree with you. Deonna does need a good showing because, like you said, the match against Madison Rain, it fell short. A lot of people hated on it. I thought it was a little too hated. Like I watched it and it was a bad match, but
that
people were
that
saying it's like the
spot
worst match
that
ever, and
it's
I
that
don't think it
spot
was.
though, bro. That
It
the thing
was
is
bad.
this, in the era that we live where everything is like clipped up,
Yeah,
everyone clipped that
Clippable.
spot. And the worst thing is they didn't help him out because they replayed that spot after. And
yeah.
commentary said some like, "Oh, you can tell that's the reason why she was caught off guard and took the pin." Like, bro, what? Like, oh man, that wasn't good on their behalf either. They didn't help her out a lot with that. So
No, not at all. I mean, we've seen similar thing with Maxine Dupree lately, where like a few botches being clipped online and stuff. And I saw she was getting interviewed by somebody, I can't remember who, a couple of days ago, and they posted a clip of it on Instagram, and she's talking about like facing Rhea Ripley and how she likes Rhea Ripley. And they've used a clip of her botching with Rhea Ripley. It's like out of any clip you could use, you choose a botch.
yeah,
Come on.
let's cut my girl Maxine a little bit of slack. I'm not a big fan of her in ring, but I don't think she deserves as much flack
No,
as
not at all.
no wrestler does. Man, these people do a
Nobody.
lot.
She's improving too. She's improved so much, and you can see she's putting the work in. So put
Yeah.
some respect on her name, Coby. What's your predictions for the AEW Women's Championship?
I do want to say this is what they needed to do. Is they needed a strong storyline. They needed a strong championship match, because we saw what they did with Tony Storm at World's End. And I felt that match was not good because of the fact that it was reliant on Tony Storm's character, about doing spots that made sense for her stuff with not the butler. I don't know. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Luther.
I
That's
think
right.
they've added
At the end
the
of the
ER
day,
back
this
in again.
match. Oh, I mean, it doesn't. Okay, Luther doesn't matter. Right now, this is a match that actually has a build, and this is what they need. This is what makes a match like this exciting, because they have a history. They've acknowledged the history. They've worked the character into it. I thought the I think it was called Wet Ink, the Wet Ink video of
that was
her
good.
getting the tattoo covered up. I thought it was effective. It contributed to the storyline of this, but I'm worried about everything surrounding this match, because Deonna's first match on AEW, when she was unsigned, was not a good match with Mercedes Martinez, and that was when she was Ring of Honor Women's Champion. When it was going from Tony Khan's purchasing of the company, and they needed the title off an uncontracted talent. Deonna lost. No, but Deonna was not. I don't want to say was not over, but the reactions weren't great in that match. But they have been solid since she came into the company. What I'm worried about is the follow up here. Deonna needs a really good match. Tony Storm needs a really good match, because her character is taking over her ability right now. She is incredibly reliant on doing the spots. She's wrestling like the old times. That's kind of the character right now. I don't have a major issue with that, but I don't see Deonna taking the win. And
No, I
if
agree.
you're putting her in such a high profile match, you have to follow up strong. And I don't know who there is to follow up strong against.
No,
because
you're right. You're right.
this better not be the case of bring her in. We just signed her. Let's put her in the top of the card. She's not going to win, but we have no place for her after. And those are my fears surrounding this match. I
Yeah.
hope it's a good match. I assume Tony's going to win, but I don't know what's next for Deonna Purrazzo. And that's what part of me kind of fears from this, is the fact that
Yeah.
if
You're
Deonna takes
100%
that
right.
loss, where does she go from here? Does she have a spot? Does she kind of go into catering? I hope
It's
not.
very similar to Jay
But-
White, and not just the booking where they they put them in a title feud really quickly and they fumble them. Well, probably will fumble them after.
I mean,
But not just in terms of the booking, but also they wrestle very, very similar styles where it's hard for them to get over with the AEW audience.
what about Taya? Like, she was a pretty coveted
Yeah,
free agent.
good one.
Got burnt out
She came
after
in.
the
Humble.
got burnt out after the Jade feud, and we see her on ROH now.
No, you're bang on right. You are. I mean, literally, right?
mean, it
they were
happens
in
so
on
often.
having a touchdown, right? First down with this storyline. They were about to get a touchdown, first down, and they just decide to waste 3 opportunities. Now it's suddenly 4th down, and it's make or break. That's what they've done with this feud. They built it up fantastically, and then did nothing with it for the past 3 weeks, and literally nothing with it this past week on Dynamite. It's meant to be the women's world title. Make it feel important.
Well, they are going to be on tomorrow's Collision. I
Well,
will
I'm
say
sure
that.
I'm sure that'll bring in a lot of views. Anyway, on that
Oh
note,
man.
on that note, somebody who
Shooting
does bring in
shots.
somebody who does bring in a lot of views is the best father figure, the father of the year, Christian Cage, who this Sunday night will be, helping Daniel Garcia get over his daddy issues as he beats him for the TNT Championship in order to retain the belt successfully, because Christian Cage is the best wrestler in the business. Shad, you're not going to disagree, are you?
Man, I am not going to disagree. I think Christian is going to come out victorious, but I would not be surprised if Daniel Garcia went ahead and took the title off of Christian and given opportunity to one. I'll say this: Tony Khan after the match segment when they were off cameras with Daniel Garcia going backstage, he made it a focal point to tell the fans, this is my guy. This is going to be his year. I feel that he is going to put the rocket on him at some point.
Wow.
And if you were to put the rocket on him, I think the best opportunity would be to get him this TBS or TNT title off of Christian. Because the thing is this: the focal point of it is we need to finish off Christian and Copeland's feud. We need to get back to that some way. How we get to that? Good opportunity Sunday, right? I don't know if is Copeland on the card. He's not even on the card, right?
They
Copeland's
wrote him
not
off
on the
with that
card.
concerto.
And
Yes.
I'm delighted about it. I really, really am delighted that we don't have to witness him tomorrow, and instead we get to enjoy Christian Cage.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Adam Copeland's a scumbag, so we don't care about him regardless. But he's
No.
gonna find a way to make himself
And
on the
not
show.
scumbag like MJF. I'm sure.
You know what? I'm sorry, Ben. I think Daniel Garcia is gonna win on Sunday.
No, he shouldn't.
I don't think he should. Well, I do think he should because I think Daniel Garcia is a phenomenal wrestler. I think this is an opportunity to create. This is the thing. This is a mid card title. He is a mid card talent. I think he could be a good person to run through it. It's the TV title. He can have a lot of matches amongst different people, feud amongst different people. I feel like you need to kind of do something with him. If he loses the Christian, I honestly don't know what's next for him. Right? It's kind of a odd place after that because it's like, all right, we book him up and he loses to all the top guys. When is he going to be the top guy? When is he going to get an opportunity to show that he gets that rub and gets the ability to try to get over? And we're going to actually make an effort to get him over. They haven't done that with him. And not putting it all on this feud, but there's been several occurrences in the past couple years where I feel like they could have done something. The Jericho stuff, for instance,
Yeah.
like that was
It's true.
such a fumbled opportunity, like countless times where he could have got his comeuppance, beat Jericho, show that he's a real pro wrestler in his grasp. And it's weird. Like I know that people give him a lot of stuff about his talking ability and all that, but I see something in him. I feel like he has the essence of a really like star pro wrestler. Like
Ooh.
he's comparable to a lot of guys that I didn't seen back in the early days of me watching wrestling and whatnot. He brings that essence to it. Now, I think they need to do something. So I'm gonna go off a limb. I think Copeland's gonna help him out to even the numbers, and I think Daniel Garcia will be our new champion on Sunday.
I mean, listen, I will actually completely agree with you on that point, Shard. Right?
While Coby
AEW
does
and
the
not
dance too.
no, yeah, not just about the dance, but when it comes to these young stars in AEW, it often feels like they want them to do well. They give them these big wins to Kester as well, right? And it's Samuel Guevara at times as well. But then as soon as it gets when they're about to be pushed to the main event, they get cold feet and they just don't push them. And Daniel
Yeah.
Garcia is another case. So maybe they should do that. Sonny Dalton and Sandy saying AEW build, and then just go in a new direction. That's
Yeah,
a good
they
point.
literally pulled a rug off under their feet
They
with
do.
like a lot of these guys, and that's the thing. Like I
Vince like.
this is the thing, right? Like as much as I am very pro, like get the best talent that you can get on your roster. The reason I loved AEW from the beginning is that it opened my eyes to a lot of new talent I've never seen
Yeah.
before, and I became fans with them. And a lot of that talent kind of got stuck in the mud once years progressed and whatnot, and you get a new shiny toy, right? Like, and I think
True.
the booking got to be a little bit more consistent on that standpoint.
It's that you're exactly right. They can't just. They've signed people all along, and their solution to every problem they have is to sign more talents, and it's creating more problems. That's what's happening about it. We got Big Fun 2-1 saying that he agrees with you on that point, Shard. But Coby, I now want to, I want to get your thoughts on the international championship. Yet another singles title. AEW actually, I think, have more singles mid-card titles than wrestlers at this point, and that might be saying something. It feels like everyone's either a champion or competing for a championship. Well, Roderick Strong is competing for a championship. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, international, whatever it used to be called, title. What are your thoughts, Coby? Who's going to win?
It was something All Atlantic, I think.
Oh, that was the one.
That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, it was the All Atlantic title.
Wow, I mean,
all absolutely
elite,
nothing.
But,
and people were making jokes like, "Well, where are you supposed to defend it only, huh?" Like,
so this won't necessarily. This rant won't come out yet because I'm foreshadowing it for a later match for a specific time. Right now, this is the match that I feel like I'm the least excited for. And it's not of that sense. It's just you did so well telling a story, elevating Cassidy, letting Cassidy elevate the title. And then you had that main event match with Moxley, and then you had injuries caused a ruffling in September and October, and things didn't go the way you wanted it. This is a terrible redo of this. Because while that had a progression of Cassidy's body breaking down, a lot of this is just Cassidy having a feud with the Undisputed Kingdom. And I'm not going to slander the Undisputed Kingdom, or should I? Maybe I will later. Regardless,
beef.
Roderick Strong's a heck of a talent. I feel like he has a great arsenal. He's a great wrestler in general. Cassidy will. I expect them to have a really good match, but I don't want them to make this too much about the gimmicks, because we've had them do. I think one of them they did a Texas death match with Cassidy and Taven for I want to say no reason other than the fact that they're in this feud. I don't know why you would put the stipulation on it, but they did. Regardless, and then you had Jake Hager come to the rescue because he was a hometown guy. There's the build to this is puzzling, because we look at, aside from the last few weeks, we look at the Women's World Championship match, and that is a great story. This is, aside from being aside from knowing this was the direction we were going in January, which thank you, instead in not making this official 8 days before or whatever.
That's a good point.
You made this known. This is where you were going, but this was not like built well.
No.
And I think that's the issue. You introduced the rankings and all of it. Why is Cassidy holding open challenges still if the rankings are back?
I know. I don't mind. I don't mind it if the stipulation of the title is that it's an open challenge thing, but that's not what it is. Yeah, They should just
not.
say it.
I really hope. I
It's
hope
one
Roddy
of the other.
wins.
It's one of the mid card titles of their company.
The many.
And I mean, there's a lot of disconnects. I don't want to take up the rest of this hour talking about them, but because I won't. But I feel like Roderick Strong has to win this match. He should win this match, but I fear them not giving the win to Roderick Strong.
I agree.
They don't, because we know who the shiny toy of the Undisputed Kingdom is right now.
Ooh, beef. But before we get on to talking about meat, but you know what, Shad, right? Your championship you carry around, I actually think that is, more prestigious than half of these mid-card titles. You're getting it now. Like, it's these titles they make. Here it is. That title right there, that title is worth more than any of these AEW mid-card championships. There it is, right? And it makes absolutely no sense to me why we have all of them. But do you know what does make sense? What does make sense is having all your links in one place. And our good friends over at Next Level have created a solution for that. And all you need to do is go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms linked in one place. It's so simple. So easy to do. There's exclusive content on there too. It's free, most importantly, but also, I'm hearing a rumbling, going around the Next Level community at the minute that there might be a blockbuster, and I mean a blockbuster, a major and important, whatever other words Tony Khan wants to come up with, announcement in the next few days, and that announcement will be very, very, very big, maybe XL size. Wink, wink. We'll have to talk to you guys about that. I think Monday is when it might come to light. So keep your eyes on us to hear more about that. Go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms linked in one place. But now let's get back to AEW because I want to talk about FTR. I want to talk about the Blackpool Combat Club because these four men, I think that they're going to put on a little bit of a banger this upcoming Sunday. There is story there. I don't know why they're doing it, but there is a bit of story. Maybe I'm being a bit critical of it when I criticize the story. Who knows? I'm excited for the match, but who do you think will walk out the winner, Shard?
Oh man. So let me say this. It is one of the more typical quick built kind of out of nowhere storylines that we have got on the AW card for this, but it's so good of a match, so good of competitors. I cannot be upset that we are setting it up to be like this. I let the match that they had last week, the one that went to a time finish, was a solid bout, and I expect this match to be great. In regards to who is going to win, man, this is difficult because you make a strong case for both competitors. FTR is the coveted tag champs. They are the quote unquote greatest tag team of all time to a lot of people. So
Argument for them.
betting against them is difficult. But on the other side, you got John Moxley, who is arguably the most important professional wrestler that AEW has signed. He's put a lot of groundwork for him, and you got Claudio and the Blackpool Combat Club are an extremely strong faction, and they're a strong unit. So, to me, I am gonna have to go ahead and lean towards picking FTR for the win. We're in North Carolina. That to me is kind of the icing on the cake. These guys are from NC, so that creates incredible moment for allowing them to win. But also, I think that we're gonna get back into the meat and potatoes of making this tag team division feel important again. And FTR is the focal point of that. Whoever comes out winning, but the match later on, I think we'll see FTR going against them uh, sooner than later after this pay per view is done. So I think you book them to win. They're the team that needs to stay strong. I guess Moxley and Claudio aren't really like an actual tag team, so it doesn't affect them both. Claudio unfortunately looks like the fall guy to me.
Yeah.
I'm
In every
smelling,
match he's in, singles or tag, he's the fall guy.
yeah, I'm smelling a pin on his behalf, but it's all good. I mean, I'd like to see him, do more single stuff rather than being uh in faction wars, but it's all good. But yeah, I got FTR for the win, and I think this is probably gonna be one of the best matches, like on y'all's rating
Absolutely.
scale after we finish the pay per view. So
No, I do think you could be right there. And Bobby Petito also thinks you could be right because he is saying FTR is his pick to win. Meanwhile, numero one Superfly says BCC wins this match, and I'm 95% sure there will be blood. Yep, if I was a betting man, numero one, I think I'd be agreeing with you there. Johnny Autism Wrestling saying, I know we're talking about AEW right now, but I'm really getting tired of The Rock saying Cody the crybaby. It's really offensive. Yeah, I mean, fair
aw.
enough on that one. I mean, Soul's complaining about the fact that he gets to go to an AEW pay-per-view. It's
That,
always
that,
the
that- that's a
Scottish to
ch-
complain.
that was a choice, so okay, that was a
Mm.
choice. You spent your money on that, okay?
We got Bush1G saying, hey, what's up? Hello, welcome
What's
to
going
the
on?
stream. But yeah, let's now just jump right in to talking about the name on everyone's lips. AEW's latest shiny new toy, and that is William Ospreay. And I am excited for this match. I really, really am. I feel for Takeshita. I think Takeshita's kind of getting screwed over in this because he's on the run of his career. He should be in the AEW title picture, but they have cold feet. Right? Tony Khan, I've said it before, doesn't know how to cook. It's why he had to cancel the Meat Madness match. They all got food poisoning or the meat was underdone. And now clearly he's not been able to turn the heating on the floors either because they've gotten cold feet. And Takeshita is not being pushed after pinning not one but two former AEW champions. But still, Will Ospreay, Takeshita, it's going to be a banger, isn't it, Coby? I mean, there's no doubt about that.
That's the thing. Wow. I mean, you want to hope that this is the thing.
You'd
Things
hope
happen
so.
in the wrestling business. You hope nothing happens because they do
You
wrestle
hope not.
a big. They do wrestle a more athletic style, hard hitting style. They both have been trained in Japan. They both come from strong style. There's going to be a lot of hard hitting strikes. I'm excited for this match. But to peel back the curtain, the man himself that is going to North Carolina, Mr. Soul, he predicted this in January. And the biggest thing is when we were talking about who could be Will Ospreay's first pay-per-view opponent, because they kind of were hinting he would do Revolution because his contract would be up already. It is. I think it was up as of yesterday because it was end of February. I don't know for sure. I know they were saying end of February for Ospreay. But regardless, this is the position we're in. Takeshita took the win against Kenny Omega. What happened? I mean, I can't say I remember it because I'm a wrestling fan. Not a lot of people would go out of their way and say they do remember it. The same thing is going to happen here. He just beat Chris Jericho. And what is going to happen? Will Ospreay can't lose this match.
No.
And I'm sitting here seeing Konosuke Takeshita in the position and he's going to get shafted again. Yep. And that was my entire pitch in January of saying that match shouldn't happen because I don't see a realistic winner. Because Will Ospreay needs this win because he's coming in. He's the big new signing. You can't have him lose his debut not debut because he's wrestled in AEW before, but you can't have him lose this match when he just signed to the company. But Takeshita can't lose this match.
They booked themselves in a corner.
He beat Darby Allin, and he beat Chris Jericho in this calendar year. Last
And
year he beat
Osprey
Kenny
lost.
Omega,
Not Osprey.
and
Omega.
we not Osprey, no, Takeshita.
He'll beat
We are
Osprey
in the
now.
position. Well, he will. Osprey will beat him. This is that's the entire thing. Is I am sitting here saying I feel bad for Takeshita because now his momentum is shot in the foot again, and that's the end all be all of this booking decision.
Do you think it
Great match.
builds
I expect a high quality match. I expect
5 stars. Get
these
those 5
two
stars ready.
to kill it. But
to
at the end
to
of the
y'all's
day,
point? Do you think it
the
builds to
decision
Osprey
is
versus the Callis family? Like
Oh,
after that,
100%. 100%.
so
And
I
it
think,
builds
wow.
to the burial of Takeshita too.
okay, I think it's gonna. I think he's gonna go. Then he'll probably beat
I mean,
Hobbs after.
Osprey has to go face it. He can't stay in the Don Callis family for the rest of
No.
his AEW career. He's got a Splitsville eventually. I assume that's
Yeah,
coming soon, but it's. Oh,
Makes no
I mean,
sense.
you're confused about it. You know why? Because
Numero 1
a week
Superfly this
after
is, by the way.
numeral 1 Superfly. You know why you're confused about it? Because 1 week after Takeshita beat Chris Jericho, Don Callis sold it like nobody would challenge Konosuke Takeshita. They sold it like he had to go within his family to find an opponent, which makes no sense because no one where is the proof that no one would take this match? There
the
I
is
mean,
no
conf-
who
proof
wouldn't want a pay-per-view
whatsoever.
match?
the confusing
Well, who
aspect
knows if it
for it
was a
to
pay-per-view
me,
match?
real
It could have
quickly,
been a
is
Dynamite
just
match where Takeshita showed up and no one came out and Don Callis cut a promo saying, "You guys, there's nobody in the back that is a credible threat." That does it better than a week later saying nobody wants to face him. Like it makes no
Maybe I
logical
was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about Tony Khan. Maybe Tony Khan is actually a great chef, and that's why there's so many people in catering, and they don't want to wrestle because they're just enjoying the food too much. Maybe that's it.
that's wild. I thought it was more so of an aspect he's trying to take Osprey out and he's trying to put his big like hitter on him, but I don't know. But then you would have probably
Yeah.
put Hobbs
Well,
on him,
why
so
wouldn't
who
you put
knows?
Hobbs? Hobbs is the
Yeah.
bigger guy.
Oh, and
Hobbs
that's what
is
they're going
the
to end up
Hobbs is the
doing.
meat.
Oh, it is that.
More
Uh,
foreshadowing.
That's the next
More
match, but
foreshadowing. More
I mean,
foreshadowing.
Bobby Petito saying Will Ospreay's going to win. I agree, Bobby. I agree. But it's
the match gonna
Takeshita's
be
in the
amazing
mud,
though.
isn't he? But do you know what also is in the mud? This new championship, the 10th billionth mid card championship. Do you know how many mid card titles there are? That it feels like every match on this card, I'm going on a rant about a mid card title. That's how many mid card titles there are, right? Anyway, Ryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston. It's going to be a banger. We're going to talk about how this title is so important for a couple of days, and then we're going to all forget about it once again. Or maybe Danielson will have a good run with it. Maybe Garcia will take the international. The international then becomes irrelevant. I mean, there's just too many mid-card titles, and therefore it won't work. Anyway, this one, like I said, it's going to be fun. Shad, who do you reckon's winning? Do you reckon Kingston or will Danielson get a championship before he retires?
So to your point, I'm excited for the match, and I'm excited for the feud that goes within the match because I think Eddie Kingston just kind of being over with everyone's, you know, stuff. It's always great. He's always had this bitter rivalry with the Blackpool Combat Club, being so close to Moxley, but not liking Moxley's peers. And then him and Danielson just having their history within matches prior on AEW. Like, I think it's a compelling story, and I think it's going to be something of interest. But to your point, the title itself, I honestly forgot. I forget about it unless I just see Kingston walk with it. And that's the main issue. I don't think there's really a set place for this title, and I think it is a lot of like participation trophies more so
Yep.
than coveted titles, and that's not what a
And
title
there's
should
three
feel
of
like.
them in one belt here, by the way, as well. No, it's not just one
Yeah,
belt, it's
no, I
three.
know, that Continental Classic the itself was amazing, but yeah,
Yeah.
this was the big worry that we were going into it after. In regards to who I feel will win this match, man, it's tough for me because I feel like I don't like ever seeing Eddie Kingston lose matches. I love Eddie Kingston. He's my, him and Swerve are my two favorite personal wrestlers on AEW. I think he's like one of the best characters in pro wrestling. He's so real. He's so authentic. But I feel like if you are gonna make this more of a working title, which, like you said, another TV title, there's a lot of working titles. It kind of goes back to my point with Garcia. I feel like it would make more sense for Danielson to have it, and it maybe opens the doors for bigger matchups with that title and try to make the title feel more important. I feel like the title doesn't feel as important as it was going into the tournament. And I think a lot of people were also upset that Swerve didn't get the title, right? They wanted
Yeah.
somebody who was a little who had the hot hand being able to be crowned that champion. I think Danielson will win Sunday. I think he gets the opportunity. I thought he was going to win the tournament when they started it out. I'll be real with you.
He
Um,
was favorite in a lot of people's eyes.
well, I feel like this is kind of this title was made for what he does. Like
Mm.
he wants to fight. He just wants to wrestle as much as he can before he hangs it all up.
But isn't that the
And
same as the international and what the TNT originally
oh no,
was? I
I'm
mean,
not. So my thing is I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but it's kind of like we're here now. What can we do, right?
what
like
can we do? There's one way to fix this, right? And that one way is a brand split and have this be the world title on one brand because it's meant to be the. You kind of already ruined it now. So it'd be a bit hard to do, but they should have done it off the bat. This is the world title on one brand, while the AEW title is the main title on the other brand. This is the Continental Championship. Has taken titles from all three major companies. It should feel so important. It should be like a world title. I'm gonna, give Tony Khan some leeway here for a second, because in fairness to him, I don't think it's his fault that this title has felt so irrelevant, because it's impossible to make 3 mid-card titles all feel relevant. It's his fault for creating it in the first place. And you know what else he shouldn't have created? The Meat Madness match, because he cancelled it like a couple of days after he announced it. Like, I don't know what did all the limbs fall off the meat or something? Was there a meat shortage in Greensboro? Like, I don't know, right? But what I do know is now instead they've decided to be a bit lazy and they're doing an all-star 8-man scramble match that translates, right? I speak all elite wrestling, and I also speak English, and I can translate one into the other. And if you translate it, this just translates into I'm too lazy to book a match. Anyway, Coby, what's your thoughts on this all-star 8-man pointless whatever it is?
Have
Chris
I hinted
Jericho,
too
Lance
much about
Archer,
meat?
Cage, Hobbs,
Have I hinted
Wardlow,
too much
Hall.
about my dislike of meat, especially meat in AEW? See, that's the thing, is obviously things happen. What I think happened was there was the Meat Madness match. He was going to bring more hosses. There's people who are off television, like a Keith Lee, like a Miro. There's probably a couple others.
But he knew they were off on Sunday, as Miro tweeted.
Well, who knows? Who knows?
hey, what about
But
the
at the
workhorsemen?
end of the day, there are people who probably could have been in this match that are unable to be in this match. And now it's like, well, we can't really build a meat match with not hosses, because there's Hook and there's Jericho. Jericho's not a hoss either. Regardless, the fact that this is just this reminder, which is one thing you did not mention, Ben. This is for a world title match.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that. That changes things
very
a
much
little bit.
something they've said on Dynamite, and that is something that is going to spoil.
You might have to
to direct this match.
I felt
for a lot of people in this case. To me, my understanding, and this is where the Undisputed Kingdom has failed to capitalize over the last 2 months, is doing something that's meaningful. We have not a good rivalry with Roderick Strong for a mid-card belt, and now we have Wardlow, who how many times has his foot been shot in terms of momentum? Probably I can count on more than one hand. Especially with that illogical line on Dynamite where he brought up CM Punk. Because guess what? You brought that up and you reminded people of a match where you dominated and you got looked like a schmuck because you lost to a roll-up. Why remind people of that? I don't know.
Great point.
If I'm Wardlow in that scenario, I'm the last person to beat Samoa Joe for a world title or a title, because he was last year at Revolution. Yep. That gives you instant credibility because guess what? You actually won the match. CM Punk lost, or CM Punk won.
Yep,
And
you're
that
right.
makes no sense. But at the end of the day, that's what this match is. This match is to give Wardlow the rub. He's the one marinating the meat. He's preparing for a world title match against Samoa Joe again because Samoa Joe's probably going to win. Oops. I'll talk about that after. But this match is the match that screams, why is this on the card?
Why is this? What are we doing here, in the words of Clark Taylor? I mean, I don't know. Bobby Petito doesn't know as well, and neither does numero one Superfly. But numero one Superfly's doubling down on his love and dreams
I
of having meat weapons in a
no,
match. I
I'll
don't
say
get it, numero
I'll
one.
say I'll say this. I don't like the fact that that match was happening because I feel that I feel like that term is only set because of Big E, and the fact that you
Yeah,
do anything and label it called Meat Madness. Pause. If you don't have Big E time to like tied to that, it's a no go for me, bro. Like that was
agreed.
his viral moment of what he did. You obviously can't have it because he's not on AEW, nor can he wrestle at the moment. So I wasn't having it, man. I wasn't. I hated that they set that up prior to it. And I'm happier that it's this, even though I'm not super hyped for it. But I thought it was kind of lame that Tony Khan was setting a match called that personally. And I think it's
That's a
whack
brilliant
that
point.
fans were even like rallying and excited for it too. But that's my 2 cents.
I agree. In fact, you know what, Shad? Tweet that, put that in a tweet, get your phone out, type it up, right? Type it up, click our nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic link while you're on your phone, and then I'll repost it over on
Oh
Instagram
yeah.
because it's a great point. It
Let's
really, really is. But we now have the AEW World Championship. At least there's one title in this company which feels prestigious, and it is this one, and I am excited for this match. They built the feud well. Did I think the Hangman injury angle was a little bit pointless? Yes. Does this ruin it for me? Absolutely not. I still think it's a great story, and I'm sure it's going to be, get ready for it, a banger of a bout. I think this will actually shock everyone and be the match of the night, even over Ospreay and Takeshita. And I am hoping, I am praying that the new AEW champion is Swerve Strickland. Why? Well, you can call me Simon Miller, because here's why. I reckon, the AEW's company lost momentum. That's the fact of the matter, and it's no fault of Samoa Joe in the slightest. But what's the one thing which everybody's saying is the best bit of AEW TV as of late? That's Swerve Strickland. He's hot right now. Your company's not. So how about you put the title on him and hope he heats up everybody a little bit, and everyone's feet can get a little bit less cold when they're about to push some younger talent. Shad, what's your thoughts heading into this new World Championship match, and what are
mm-hmm.
your thoughts on it?
I mean, yeah, those who watch the Throwback Thursday show knows that I'm a huge Swerve Strickland fan. I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan, and I'm a huge Adam Hangman Page fan. Um, I said this, man, and a lot of people went crazy on me on Twitter when I said it. My Twitter fingers be getting me in trouble. I think the best move was getting that title off of MJF and advancing it with these new heavy hitters in the main event picture. And I think Samoa Joe has made the title, to me, feel more renowned and important again. He carries
Okay.
himself like a very dominant champion. I love just the Samoa. I love Samoa Joe for what he does, man. I don't
Yeah.
even need to explain why. Everyone enjoys him for that reason. And I just like the storyline. I think Hangman and Swerve has been one of the most compelling storylines in professional wrestling all of last year. They had the
Yeah.
arguable best match last year, and it feels like a real blood feud. I think Hangman going crazy and deranged and not being able to beat Swerve, making him this ticking time bomb that is just erupted and gone as a madman has been so entertaining to me. And then, of course, the superstar that is Swerve Strickland has been phenomenal. The guy is over as ever. The fans are doing the nana. They're chanting whose house? Swerve's house constantly. I think this is the best built thing going into the show on Sunday, and I'm super excited for it. In regards to who wins, it's difficult because I would love your idea because I think Swerve is the guy who needs to be the champion. And it's one of those cases that, man, you got to strike when the iron is hot. Like, and this is an opportunity. He is hot right now. And if you put that title on him, that's already a top moment in pro wrestling this year out the gate, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough because Hangman is in the match, and I feel like he seems like a fall guy to take a pin from Samoa Joe or whatnot. But man, I'm too much of a Swerve fan, and I know I don't want Samoa Joe to be that short of a champion, but he's had his moments in his past. I think it's time to give
True.
someone a moment. I got Swerve Strickland winning on Sunday, becoming our new AEW champion. And this is a change of the guard. This is going to be a guy who's going to put the company on his back like he has been and
Yeah.
run with it. And he is going to be Wrestler of the Year by the end of 2024. No
Bold
doubt about
claim.
it.
And I think it's entirely possible. I really, really do. Number one disagrees. He says Samoa Joe's winning, but Bobby Petito does agree, and he thinks that he will walk out the AEW World Champion. I mean, we've been saying all episode long that, the meat Matt suggests that Tony Khan is unable to cook, right? Or maybe he's a great cook. Who knows? I've now flipped again because, Shad, you said it. You need to strike when the iron's hot. Well, currently the pan is boiling, and I think Tony Khan's going to overdo it because I don't think he's putting on the title on Swerve just yet, even though I think he should. Coby, what do you think?
See, this is the scenario, and this is, I mean, I always sit here and pride myself on thinking about what's next, what's after, where do they go from here? We're looking at something where we know there's going to be a number one contender crowned before this match, because there's no way that 8-man scramble goes on later than this triple threat, because this triple threat is either semi-main or main, most likely. Because we don't know what the main event is, because that could be the other match we have to talk about. But I'm in the scenario where I think a lot of this build has been surrounding and inclusive of the storyline of Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. We had that time limit draw, which made no sense why you would do a tag match that goes to a draw weeks later. Please tell me why that made sense. I would have had a double fall. Like, you could have had both, one of FTR win and one of BCC win, and then it's like, okay, well, they both have a claim to win. Because guess what? This match has no stipulation. Okay, sorry. Triple threat match. I'm in the position where I think this finish is going to advance the Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland story more. Because where I see this is that doesn't need the title. And I can kind of sit here and say later on it can, but right now the story is mainly about Hangman being the guy to go out of his way to screw up Swerve Strickland. He is emotionally attached to screwing over this guy and making sure Swerve pays. And like we said, that time limit draw, Hangman was laughing because Swerve didn't win. And he didn't want to go more time because guess what? Swerve didn't win, and he didn't want to give him the chance to win. This is the same thing. He faked the injury to attack Swerve. I kind of would have played more into that, because then Hangman's injury could have been the reason why he loses the match. I don't see it being Hangman goes out of his way to lose this match, but I think we're in the position where Samoa Joe shouldn't be a short champion. And I'm glad, and I just feel like Samoa Joe is going to retain, because I think the move is Samoa Joe and Wardlow again. Because I think that's the move. I think that's where we're going, because I don't, unless it's Samoa Joe and Jericho, because they've never faced off, I don't want to see that match. I'd rather see Wardlow attempt to get momentum. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'd rather see them attempt to do something right with that guy, because they haven't. But
That's true.
That's
That's
I think it's Samoa Joe. I think the reason it's a triple threat match is because Swerve is so hot, but Swerve isn't going to win because he's not in the position where he should win it yet, and
I think
that's
you're
why
right.
it's a triple threat because he gets protected. I'd
That's
be
That's
shocked if he gets
frustrating
the
because I
fall.
think you
that
have it bang on.
I think that's probably what is going to happen, but I'm going to just keep my hopes up and say Swerve is going to win that probably is the case. It's streamlined like that should be the way. But I hope that we get a
Probably.
Swerve in another direction and he lets Swerve to be the champion because
Swerve when he drives and he swerves. But no, I agree. Yeah, Kobe, it sucks because you've explained it really well. You're probably right, but it's a mistake and it'll come back to bite them. I'm calling it now, right? Decisions like this when Tony Khan doesn't strike when the iron's hot. We talked about it earlier with Takeshita and it's so many others. He just doesn't know. Like he doesn't know when people are about to peak. I remember a couple of years ago, the Acclaimed, everybody thought the Acclaim were going to win the tag team titles. They didn't. There was an outrage. So he just booked the match again the week after and they won. And the pop was
For
huge
Grand
and
Slam.
everything. But, or 2 weeks after, whatever it was stupid.
I was like three. Yeah,
it,
the point remains.
no,
The point remains.
it didn't it was still a moment, but it doesn't hit the same because you're booking it
Yeah.
again because you know that you're trying to undo a mistake you may have made. Like there's just moments in time where stuff has to happen and you have to use your best judgment because he didn't have a plan for the Acclaimed as a tag team. I have a whole I'm not going to talk about the Acclaimed because I have strong
Take
opinions
a
on
break.
them.
Take a break.
That's going to go on for, over and over and over and over. But I think everybody wants to talk about the legend, the icon, Sting, because he's going to be hanging up his boots. He's going to be competing for the final time in AEW this Sunday. He's the face on the poster. He's the reason for a lot of the hype around this pay-per-view. And he'll be teaming up with Darby Allin, of course, to take on the Young Bucks. It's a weird move, but I'm loving this new Young Bucks gimmick. They've literally just become what everybody said that they were. And it's hilarious. It's brilliant. People are hating on it, but I think it's just got heel work because I don't think it's go away heat. I think people are genuinely entertained by it. But still, for them to face Sting in his final match, it's a little bit weird, I will say that. But I'm really, really excited for it. Now, Clark did an entire thing saying that, I think the Young Bucks should lose and Sting should retire as champion. I couldn't disagree more. Yes, I know the Young Bucks could just be like, well, they're retired, so we're champions now, or some rubbish like that. But let's be real, that would make the titles look bad, not just the Young Bucks. Let's have the Young Bucks win here, and then, round of applause for Sting, closing the show. There we are, cool. Goodbye, bang. Kobe, would you hate that idea?
So the thing is my entire problem with this match and putting the titles on Sting and Darby is the fact that I don't see a scenario where Sting wins this match. I 100% believe they should, because then you can honor Sting as his last championship, his last match. He ended his career as one of your champions. I think that does well for the company. Because then guess what? You can have them relinquish it. You could have Darby find another partner. I don't think he should. But I think what you do is you have them relinquish it. You would have them relinquish it and have a tournament. Figure out some way to. Obviously, we love it. We know AEW loves tournaments. We know all that.
Too many.
But I think that'd be interesting. I think you could. I don't want to say you could build it as the Dudley Boys tournament because you don't have access to the Dudley Boys term. You don't have access to the Hardy Boys. You could probably do some Midnight Express term. I don't know. There's a way you can make it where you can honor a tag team and make this tag team and feel important. I feel like eventually we're gonna get these corporate Bucks versus FTR again anyway. We assume that's where they're going to go eventually.
It's always where they go.
But the biggest thing is I think the move 100% should be Sting wins this match. I think it's about a 90% chance he loses because he's gonna want to put over the Young Bucks. And I think that to me is what irks me about this, is the fact that it's such a predictable ending and there's so many predictable. We talked about predictability in the sense of Elimination Chamber where it made sense. I don't know. I necessarily can't say that it makes sense with this match that the Young Bucks win, because they are still the cocky heel. Does it? They're the cocky heels.
Yeah, because then they're elevated.
They haven't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
The Young Bucks have. I don't know. I like the character. I like what they're doing, but I can't say it makes sense for them to win. But I know they are.
I mean, do you think it makes sense, Shad?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Personally, I think having them as the champion is something that is old, reliable to go back to. But
I guess I meant from a storyline standpoint. That's what
yeah. I think it makes.
I don't think the story that they've told Warner's they should win the titles.
I don't know. I feel like it does.
We know the story was Drew
the
McIntyre was
heels.
going to win. The story was Becky Lynch was going to win the Chamber. Those made sense. I don't think it makes sense that the Bucks should win based on the story they've told. That's where I go. I know they're going to win, and I 100% believe they will. Doesn't mean I think they should, or doesn't mean I think it makes sense to the story. Because guess what? They already announced it was going to be Sting's last match, and this entire story was started because the Young Bucks wanted to get rid of Sting. Well, he was already leaving.
Well, let them do it then.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't think Sting losing a match really affects or puts any salt to the wound on his legacy. I think it's kind of a homage of being a legend and passing the baton to another younger up and coming talent. And I think AEW needs to get more legitimacy back into their tag team division. I feel like they've gone through these last two phases with Starks and Big Bill and now Darby Sting. I feel like there hasn't been that old feeling of tag team wrestling that we've had prior on AEW. And I think it's a good opportunity of letting one of the best tag teams of all time in the Young Bucks, one of your EVPs, and just the new rendition of them as the corporate Bucks being heels. I think it makes it more interesting. You open a new gate of storylines. Even with them versus FTR, it feels different now because it's a different character of them. And I think it makes sense having Sting and Darby to lose just because of y'all's point. Yeah, sure. The moment of it is cool, paying homage to him, letting him kind of go out on a high note. But it does make the tag team division be like, it makes me not really care about the Bucks after that point too. Like, all right, you lost to the 60-year-old guy who's retiring and the guy who's just only takes bumps. Like and you're the super heels and you're the EVPs. Like I feel like it make me I'm more it's sad. I love Sting. I'm so excited for Sunday to see him have his last moment. It's gonna be a great moment. But as a fan of the product on a week by week basis, I'm very invested in the corporate Bucks. I like them a lot. I find them very entertaining. I was one that was not hyped for the match when it initially got announced, and how they've been maneuvering this character work and how this storyline's been built and all the craziness that happened on Dynamite. This is a match I'm very excited for, and I'm gonna go and probably say that I'm glad they're going against these corporate Bucks on Sunday because it's
wow, that is a big call. You've been turned. They managed to turn you, and I agree. I'm a lot more hyped for it now. We got numero one who's saying he believes Sting is gonna win his final match. However, he loses the belt. So he's basically saying what Clark and Coby are suggesting. I get it. I don't think they should do it, but I think they will.
Not strip or relinquish. I'm not saying like have them get the belt stolen. I'm saying
that's what Clark.
I'm saying. Oh, no, that was Clark's pitch. My pitch was have Sting. Like if you can sit here and say Sting was what ended his career as your tag team champion, I think that is such an accolade to have.
No, that is a good point, undoubtedly. We've also got a comment here on Instagram from wrestling_takes. Shout out to you, Wrestle Takes. Of course, you're coming on the show tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We got a guest coming on. But on that note, guys, we're ready to wrap up the show. AEW Revolution Sunday. We're all excited, but we'll be back before that tomorrow to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. That's also stacked. There's just a lot of stacked stuff going on right now, and it's a fantastic time to be a wrestling fan. Thank you to Coby. Thank you to Shad. And we will see you guys the same time tomorrow. And don't forget nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic as well. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.